These are the pictures from Idlib. The others were from Damascus capital. News is still fast moving out of the capital. Here's what we know so far. A bomb attack in central Damascus has killed 3 people in President Assad's inner circle. Amongst them are Syria's Defence Minister Daud Raja and his deputy Asif Shokat. Mana television in Lebanon is reporting that, while Syria's Deputy Vice President General Hassan Turkmani has also died of his injuries, while Syrian state television says the Interior Minister Ibrahim al-Sahar has been wounded. It's blaming the attack on, quote, terrorist gangs. The blast reportedly happened during a meeting of top security officials. It's not yet clear if it was a suicide bomb blast or if a device was left at the scene. Syria has already announced the new Minister of Defence, Fahad Jassim al-Faraj, and had been the Army Chief of Staff. And intense fighting is carrying on in central Damascus. Government soldiers are battling opposition forces in the central Midan district. Let's go to Amman, where Nisreen El-Shamayleh is our correspondent for us from the Jordanian capital. We've heard, obviously, of pro-government militias, Nisreen, entering some areas of the capital, Al-Asaliya and Sabina. Now we're seeing live pictures from the Free Syrian Army in a part of Damascus that they seem to be in control of. What else are you hearing?
Well, we are hearing reports that pro-government militias with weapons and knives have raided the neighborhoods of Al-Qadam and Al-Asali in Damascus. And activists are saying that the residents there are very afraid of a so-called massacre. So the Free Syrian Army there is fighting back. There are reports of heavy gunfire, which means there are clashes and heavy fighting between these armed pro-government militias and the Free Syrian Army, which is based there. Elsewhere, we're hearing of continuing clashes and fighting in the district of Midan, which is in the heart of the capital, Damascus. These clashes began 4 days ago. They are continuing, and they are supposed to be the heaviest clashes taking place in Damascus right now. We're also receiving reports as well of shelling in the Al Yarmouk refugee camp for Palestinians inside Damascus as well. We heard from activists that some of the residents of surrounding districts in Damascus around the refugee camp ran away and fled to Al Yarmouk refugee camp looking for protection because their neighborhoods were being shelled by Syrian army tanks, and that's when the Syrian government and government forces decided to shell the Palestinian refugee camp Al Yarmouk, and we understand from activists there are several people who are injured there. Elsewhere, there are reports of gunfire in another district called Al-Qaboon, but as I mentioned earlier, most of the heavy fighting is taking place in Midan, and that started around 4 days ago.
And we're seeing some pictures on our screen right now. This is coming from Syrian television, and it seems that Syrian military forces are fighting with an unknown group. Certainly the pictures we're seeing are of men in military fatigues with the appropriate arms as well as they fight in the streets. It seems to be street-to-street battles there. A significant bomb attack at the national security headquarters has perhaps precipitated much more fighting in Damascus, Nisreen, and significant individuals killed that will of course worry ordinary residents as to what the aftermath may be.
Well, obviously the activists and the residents of Damascus, it seems as though they've been prepared for this to happen. They didn't know exactly when it would happen, when the battle would basically reach Damascus, but they feel that the normal basically response by the Syrian government and the army is to shell these areas, to launch heavier attacks, and to try to retaliate, to try to regain control of these areas that include members of the Free Syrian Army and rebels who have weapons. So the normal outcome of the attack that happened today that killed members of the Syrian government and security officials is to lead to the Syrian government deploying the tanks that we're hearing about, the armored vehicles, the presidential guards across the capital Damascus in an attempt to regain control, to crush these groups that are armed and that are fighting the government back. So we expect that this would happen for some time, and obviously the Syrian government is interested in showing the international community that it can regain control, that it will regain control, and that was made clear by the statement on Syrian state TV when the government in its statement said that it would fight these so-called terrorists and mercenaries that are hired by foreign governments, and it would fight till the very end. So the Syrian government is not going to give up yet, but we understand from activists that the battle in Damascus and for Damascus has just only started, especially after months and maybe a year of planning to get these weapons to Damascus, to drag the battle to Damascus, where the symbols of the state and Bashar al-Assad's government and the Ba'ath Party exists.
Well, for the moment, Nisreen, thanks for bringing us up to date. Nisreen El-Shamayleh there in the Jordanian capital reporting for us. If you're joining us here on Al Jazeera, these are live pictures of Free Syrian Army entering certain suburbs of Damascus. We've also seen pictures from state broadcaster in Syria also showing that pro-government fighters, these look like army personnel in army fatigues, are fighting street-to-street battles there. Both sides of the story being told to us as we get it. Let's tell you what's going on so far, because groups have claimed that they've carried out an attack in Damascus today. First to claim responsibility for the blast was a group known as Liwa al-Islam, or the Banner of Islam. They were soon joined by the rebel Free Syrian Army, posting on the social media site that the FSA said, "This is the volcano we talked about we have just started."